This week on the old Ski Rex Media podcast, I present to you a history lesson and some ammunition for your Apres adventures. All that on this week's Ski Rex Media podcast. How you doing, everybody? Tim from Ski Rex Media here once again, welcoming you to another brand new Ski Rex Media podcast. The Ski Rex Media podcast is brought to you in part by Whaleback Mountain. Have you been out to check out Whaleback Mountain yet? If you haven't, I think you should. Very easy to find, wicked accessible, wicked easy to get to. Right off of exit 16, off of I-89 in New Hampshire, in Enfield, New Hampshire. Super easy. You can not only see the mountain from the interstate, but the mountain is practically on the interstate. And if you think I'm exaggerating, wait till you go there and check it out. Whaleback Mountain has everything you could want in a ski mountain in a small package. Do you want groomed runs? They have groomed runs. Do you want natural runs? They have natural runs. Do you want steeps? They have steeps. Do you want not so steep? They have that too. They have a learning area, rental shop, all the stuff that you would expect. They have it. They can take care of you, and it is awesome. People love it. I was there the other day working lifts. It was snowing. There was powder, and people were happy. Not a bad word was to be said by anyone. Whaleback Mountain is great, and you will love it. Go ahead and check it out. Whaleback.com. Whaleback Mountain in Enfield, New Hampshire. I love it. It's my home mountain. I'm there all the time. Plus, I work lifts there too a couple nights a week. So stop by and say hi. Whaleback Mountain. Ski it to believe it. Please subscribe to the Ski Rex Media podcast on Podbean, on Patreon for an ad-free early experience, on YouTube, or on your favorite podcasting app. The Ski Rex Media podcast is available at a lot of places. Go to your favorite one and search Ski Rex Media podcast, and the podcast will pop up for you. Also, remember to follow Ski Rex Media on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn even. And don't forget to check out the Ski Rex Media website at skirexmedia.com. There you'll find links to everything, including the podcast, including my partners and affiliates, including the Ski Rex Media merch shop, including the Speak Pipe voicemail, which we'll get back into here in a minute. And you can also find the Ski Rex Media newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter. Comes out every week the day after the podcast, so that's on a Thursday. It has information about that current week's podcast and other things that I want to get out there. Stories, updates, whatever it is, it will be in the newsletter. Please, if you are so inclined, head to the website, head to the social media, subscribe, sign up anywhere you want. Head to Patreon, sign up there. There's a whole other feature there, the Poser Chronicles, my ebook, e-zine. Check that out if you would at patreon.com/skirexmedia, and there's links to all of this in the description. Now, let's get on with the program. I mentioned just a minute ago the SpeakPipe link on skirexmedia.com. You go there and you can leave a voicemail for Ski Rex Media. For me, Tim from Ski Rex Media. I wanted to use it in part as a way to do a question and answer episode. I want to do a fan interaction episode, a listener interaction episode, a social media fan interaction episode of the podcast. I think it would be fun. And there are some voicemails coming in. There are some emails coming in, because you can send me an email as well, but they're not coming in really, really fast, like not enough to make one big episode. So this is the second week I'm doing the news segment where I go get one of those voicemails if I have one ready, and I drop it in here and I address the question, the query, the shout out, whatever goofy thing you want to tell me. You could do it. Again, you can send questions. You can send shout outs to your friends, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, dog, cat, whatever it is, your favorite mountain. You can send all those shout outs. You can give me questions, comments, queries. You could give me criticism as long as you're not being a total dick. And if you send something weird, I'll address that too, man. I don't mind weird. I embrace the weird, right? Right. So here, let me play this week's voicemail for you, and then we'll address it.
Hi, Tim. I noticed in your Crotched Mountain video that you take your video footage with a bare hand, and I just wanted to know how you keep it warm, because I saw it was just out and it was a cold day and it looks cold, and I was just curious how you handled that. So that might be an interesting topic. Thanks, Tim.
So first, that voicemail was from Anonymous. You don't have to send your name. You don't. You absolutely do not have to use your name when you send it in. It's awesome if you want credit, if you want your shout out, and if the person who left this question would like their shout out. After all, let me know. We'll get it done. But to address it, how do I keep my hands warm when I'm using my phone? So let's do this. I won't take too long, but I will do a little bit longer. I could just say 3 words about this and be done, but I'm not going to. So here's the deal. My action camera is a GoPro Hero 3 Plus, so it's wicked old. I don't mind that. It records 1080, HD video and whatnot, and I don't mind that, except for the fact that it has no stabilization, which I've now gotten accustomed to. I am now a stabilization snob. And the other problem is it's very old. It is very old, so it has some quirks now. It really doesn't work right. I fixed it before. There's something wrong with the shutter button. And now I think it's gone beyond the point where I can fix it. And so it'll turn on and off at will. Well, no, it'll stop recording at will, as I should say. So I've gone to using my phone. Now that's awesome too. I have a Pixel 4a, obviously not the most new phone, but it has a pretty awesome camera in it which can take 4K video, which makes editing so much easier, not from a performance standpoint, but there's a lot of things you can do when you have this giant resolution video. And if I edit in a lesser resolution, I can fake pans and I can fake zooms and I can do all this fun stuff. And it works really well. Plus my phone has wicked good stabilization. And I know that the video editor I use also has stabilization, post stabilization capabilities, but they're not quite as good as when you do it on the fly. So our caller, our voicemail lever is correct. I, at Crotchet Mountain and many places, sometimes I have to go barehanded to work the phone. Why? Because my gloves can't tap the screen. I don't have gloves that can be used with the screen. That happens. But even more so, it's just being able to actually feel the phone and grab it with my hand always feels safer because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to drop it. If I drop it, I don't think it'll be a big deal. It'll get wet, but if I pick it up quick enough, it should be okay. It's losing it that becomes the problem at that point. I do it with bare hand because you can feel it's just easier with bare hands. In the cold, I just grin and bear it. I just take it. I can't keep warm when my hands are out. After the fact, after my hands are raw and windburned and chapped, I prefer to use bag balm. I lather my hands up with bag balm and put on cloth gloves, and that repairs them. So that works out pretty well. The skin on my hands gets repaired, all the chapping and stuff. Plus Bag Balm, Vermont company from up there in Lyndonville. So, local company for me. I've been right past there many times. I've been to Lyndonville many times. I actually used to live in St. Johnsbury for a little while. I lived in St. Johnsbury, which is one town south of Lyndonville. I have no way to keep my hands warm other than to use my phone with gloves, which again, I'm not fond of doing necessarily because it just doesn't feel the same. And I don't want to lose my phone because that would suck, and the only thing I can do to really work on that is to pick up a new camera. That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to bite the bullet and pick up a new action camera that I can strap to myself. I mean, there's ways I could strap my phone to myself, I'm sure, for hands-free use. But in the end, I'm going to get a new action camera. I'm kind of eyeing up the Insta360, the one, what is it called? The X3, I believe is its maker model or model and make, whatever it is. I can't remember offhand, which kind of sucks because I really like it. And I would like to get into that 360 with all the great stabilization and all that stuff. But the short answer is, I can't keep my hands warm until I put them back in my gloves when I'm using my phone, which most of the time is without gloves. And my hands freeze and they get windburned and chapped and it stinks. But I get some decent video, so that's something, So there you go. I wish I had a better answer for you because there's no tricks or tips. I just grin, bear it, and go with it. and it just happens to work out. And if it's really, really too cold, I will put the glove on and take my chances. That's what I do. That's what I got for you. So thank you for your voicemail, Anonymous. That was really awesome. Thank you for your question. I am happy to answer it. Again, if you'd like to play along, please go to speakpipe.com/skirexmedia, or you can go to skirexmedia.com and you can record it there as well. Same service. Right now, we're going to get on with our program. That's a bit of a history lesson, and we're going to talk about Apres as we get into it with Ryan and Jay from the 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirits Company out there in Vail, Colorado. God, I hope I didn't butcher that, but here's the interview, and I hope you enjoy it, and stay tuned through it because I have a discount code if you want to try some of their spirits: whiskey, bourbon, moonshine, vodka. That's the one I'm going to try. There is a code later in the episode, and it will also be in the description. Here you go. Check out this interview one time. Thank you, and I'll be back at the end. Today on the Ski Rex Media Podcast, we're once again going to find people who know things that I don't. Now, we're going to do something that's a little bit more, I would say, in Brian and Mario's wheelhouse. Brian and Mario from the Ski Bum Podcast, my friends, my peers, my cohorts. We've skied together a couple times and hung out at the Snowbound Expo. They know could probably do a little bit better here with some of this, but I'm still good enough. And those guys love me and I love them. And we're just trying to make friends and learn stuff. And we're going to learn a little history. We're going to learn a little bit about Apres. We're going to learn about all kinds of stuff today. So today we're going to start with Ryan Thompson. How are you, sir?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing well, bud. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. And then Jay Baldassarre. How you doing, brother?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Cool. Now, these guys, Jay reached out to me. He's like, hey, you know what might be good for your podcast? I said, what might be good for my podcast? Because I'll take ideas from anybody. I don't care. But let's not be silly and be jerks about it, kids. Make it ski related if you can. And we are. He said, Jay says to me, 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company out in Colorado. I was like, 10th Mountain, I know that's something, but I didn't know it had anything to do with spirits and whiskey, and it does, and that's where we're going to get in. What's what we're going to get into today. So we will start, since we have a three-way conversation. We're going to start with Ryan. Ryan, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Tim, and not only spirits and whiskey, but also the whole skiing industry as we know today. And 10th Mountain is one of the most deployed units here in our military as well. So we got a lot to talk about here. My name is Ryan Thompson, CEO and founder of 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company, a craft distillery located in the Vail Valley in Colorado, just a few miles north of where the 10th Mountain originated in the 1940s.
Perfect. And Jay, what do you do here, my friend?
I am a sales rep for 10th Mountain Whiskey. I got the Northeast Territory. So I'm out here just trying to break in the market.
Awesome. And we love that. We love that, having, New Englanders. In fact, right before we got started, Jay and I were both saying we're going to be at Stowe tomorrow, quite coincidentally. And shout out to Scooter, who's going to be there as well. So let's get started, man. Let's talk about how. So let's do a quick history lesson on the 10th Mountain, what it was. I think most of us have a general idea anyway, but can we go over a little bit more than just a general idea, or as close as you can?
Yeah, Tim, absolutely right. It's something that we get a chance to do on a daily basis at our tasting room at the base of Vail Ski Mountain, or at our tasting room at the distillery, which is a few minutes west of Vail. But and it's a lot of people have a general understanding of 10th Mountain and maybe a little bit of the history. But I've become friends with a lot of the soldiers that have served at Fort Drum in Watertown, New York, which is about an hour north of Syracuse, where the 10th Mountain is headquartered. I've become friends with a lot of guys that have served in Louisiana at Fort Polk. And a lot of the soldiers don't really understand the history, don't even know the history, although they might have served in 10th for X amount of years, 1 or 2 years, or maybe even 20 years. They don't really understand or know the history of the 10th Mountain. And it's one of the most historic military divisions that the U.S. has. They were originated or started in the 1940s as a mountain warfare specific Army division. And they started at a place called Camp Hale, which is just about 15 miles south as the crow flies from Vail. And they trained there in the mountains for a couple years as a mountain warfare specific division in order to go and kick some serious ass in World War II and help win some significant battles. When they returned home, they wanted to share the sport of skiing, the outdoor lifestyle with their friends and family, and in essence started the modern day ski industry as we know. Over 60 different ski resorts across the country were started by 10th Mountain Vets, a number of them up in the Northeast, a number of them here in Colorado, and then also a number of them in Northern California, Tahoe area. Nike was actually founded by a 10th Mountain Vet as well. So Phil Knight's business partner is a guy named Bill Bowerman. So that's sticking with the outdoor lifestyle, the shoe industry, obviously, and what Nike's built there. Pletzel climbing gear was started by a 10th Mountain Vet. Ski and Skiing magazine were started by 10th Mountain Vets. They had a huge influence in the progression of ski boots and bindings and skis and how those have been shaped and formed over the last 60 years or so, right? 70 years even. And so we were starting the distillery about 10, 11 years ago. And we're looking for a name. What we're going to name it? And we're like, well, hell, we want to be here skiing this great mountain. Vale Mountain was started by a 10th Mountain Vet. We want to be able to live a free life here in America without our men and women of the United States military. And so we put it all together. And we're like, well, hell, let's name it in honor of the 10th Mountain Army Division and use it as a platform to support different military nonprofits across the country. So that's been a goal of ours since day one. And it's something that we're very proud of as our philanthropic efforts. Not only here in our backyard, but across the country as well. So
Excellent. So that's a lot going on there. And the 10th Mountain is, I would say, is famous. Like that is a famous name. People at least know and they've heard it. You know, it's even been well, gosh, a pop culture reference is the 10th Mountain was referenced in the film Black Hawk Down, where I don't know their significance in the actual story in Mogadishu, but it did happen. They are real. You know, that wasn't some kind of artistic license that was taken by the filmmakers. That is a very real thing.
no, Tim,
Also,
to your point, to interrupt you there on that, Black
no,
Hawk
by all
Down just
means.
had the 30th anniversary this past October. So that would happen in October in '93, and yeah, 10th Mountain Army Division was right in the thick of that confrontation there. I've got a close friend of mine that was in it. He said it was the longest night of his life. He was in 10th at the time. He is now a distiller. And it's a very real deal. And not only there in Mogadishu back in the early 90s, but certainly since 2001, September 11th, our 10th Mountain Army Division has been the most deployed unit as well. So, yeah, to your point.
Absolutely. And I think, geez, if you are if you have military friends or military family, it doesn't matter the branch, you probably have shaken hands with someone who has been in 10th Mountain and deployed for that matter. I know I've met more than my share of 10th Mountain vets. I will say that most of the people I know were in the Corps and the Navy, but I know a few Army guys too. So it's a lot of fun. Now, Ryan, you yourself served, yes or no? Is that a
No, I
mistake?
was not in the Army. I did not serve. Certainly in my family, my dad, my granddad, my brother-in-law. Brother-in-law was an Army Ranger. Dad was in the Army and Navy. Granddad was an officer in the Army as well. And so I'm just a proud patriot that loves to support our military in really creative ways and through the philanthropic work that we do through the distillery. So.
Cool. Very good. How have the veterans and the current active 10th Mountain taken to it? Like, are you like getting famous within that, or what do you think?
I'm not going to toot my own horn, but certainly we're well supported by the active 10th Mountain soldiers and a bunch of the
Very
vets.
good.
We have two veterans, two 10th Mountain vets as brand ambassadors on our team. Actually, one is coming on board with us full time on the West Coast here soon. And I've become not only friends, but close friends and supporters and of not only the top echelon in the 10th of command sergeant majors and of the active generals, the commanding generals and retired generals, but then on down to even cadets at West Point.
Okay.
We are distributed around the West Point area, and I've gotten to know a lot of the West Point cadets that move through the ranks there with their 4 years and then move on into an officer position after that. So it kind of runs the gamut, which I love. It's an amazing, humbling position to be in here. When you come into our tasting room in Vail Village, you'll see a bunch of military memorabilia that's been gifted to us. We have become the military bar in Vail. A lot of military will walk in and have comments along the lines of, "This is the last thing I thought I'd see in Vail Village, is a military centric bar tasting room." So it's great to hear that, and great to have vets and active soldiers alike come in and join us for a dram or two and swap some stories. So, but certainly get a lot of support from Fort Drum and the headquarters at 10th Mountain. So.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome. Now, before we get into the Colorado, like local, like you said, if you've kind of turned into the military bar, and that's great. We'll shoot over to Jay now. Ryan, you are in Colorado right now, right?
That's correct. You got it.
See, so now we're coming out of the sky down here closer to sea level with Jay over here in New England, man. Now, again, as Ryan said, 10th Mountain formed in Colorado, now is excuse me, trains out there in Fort Drum in Watertown, New York, an area that I am familiar with. I know that part, man. How do people take to it here in New England? You trying to sell the stuff with the history of it, because it is well known here. Like if you go to the New England Ski Museum off in Franconia, there's mention of 10th Mountain as well. How is it? How is it accepted by not necessarily the veterans, but just anybody else you come across who may know about the 10th Mountain?
Well, especially up in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont, we've been received very, very well. Obviously, they know the history with the 10th. They're familiar with the 10th. We've been crushing it, to tell you the truth. It's been very, very, very good.
Awesome. And that's what I like to hear. I like to hear that, because Apres is a big to do in the ski industry. Apres ski. Sometimes I feel a little out of place being not a drinker anymore. And some people say, well, why don't you do it? I'll be like, because I'm a lightweight. Two, and I can't even drive home. So I just don't bother anymore. It's just less convenient, although I did notice you do make a vodka as well. And that I was actually kind of interested in. I might try that sometime. I was a vodka drinker back in the day, because it's not just whiskey, kids. He's got a whole lineup here at 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit, the and Spirit part. So there you go. Whole lineup. And we'll get into that too. So what are we doing? Jay, are you just doing to like stores for personal? Is it going into like bars, restaurants? Do you have a specific like a specific market, or are you anywhere that it might show up?
All of the above, to tell you the truth. We're in liquor stores, we're getting into restaurants, promoting it, doing tastings, doing events. So we are podcasts. So we're yeah, exactly.
And some of the resorts as well, right, Jay? Didn't the Trapp Family Resort bring us on board as well? So
yeah, the Von Trapp. I mean, I grew up ski racing on these 10th founded mountains, so 10th has a special place with me. So yeah, it goes hand in hand. Skiing in the 10th. Without these guys, skiing wouldn't be what it is today. So they're very
awesome, man.
That's
great. That's fantastic. I love to hear it. And I love, like, it's 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company doesn't seem to be like a poser thing that's, just go in the market, in the ski industry now, and using this name to make a sale. Like, you guys are legitimate. It's truly like, hey, we're not being dicks here. We're honoring the real men who've done this, the real soldiers and whatnot. Is that correct?
Yeah, Tim, it's something that's super important to us. We know we're hanging our hat on the 10th Mountain name. So every decision that we make on a daily basis, we make sure we take that into account. We make sure we want to represent the 10th Mountain in the right manner, from not only on our daily decisions and with people coming to join us at our tasting rooms, like you said, for a cocktail during Apres. Once they get off the hill, a lot of the times they don't know that the run they just took down on Vail Mountain is called Riva Ridge, the longest run of Vail Mountain, but that's named in honor of one of the significant battles that 10th Mountain fought in World War II. And so we get an opportunity to sit here and educate civilians, soldiers, veterans, all alike, on the history and the importance of 10th Mountain, not only in the skiing industry, but also in everyday life and our everyday freedom. And so it's something that we take very seriously. We're all very patriotic. We're 15 full-time employees and a couple part-time. We're all very patriotic and want to make sure that the men and women of the United States military feel supported by what we're doing. And we want to continue our efforts to support a bunch of different military nonprofits that are out there as well. So.
Cool, man. So let's talk about that. As someone who's never been to Colorado at all, let alone the area you're in, one of these days I will get there. I will make the time, I swear. Let's talk about how close, like you're in Vail, Colorado, the town of, or like in the outskirts. Like how close, if someone were to come down from the mountain and visit you, how long would that take?
Yeah, so our tasting room is right in Vail Village. From clicking off your skis at the base of Vail Mountain, it is about 60 steps to our tasting room. So that would take about
Oh,
1 minute.
wow.
So
Okay.
we're right at the base of Vail Mountain there. And so that's our tasting room where you can get to know all 7 spirits that we make. Like you alluded to, we make 4 different kinds of whiskey, a brandy, a vodka, and a cordial. So 7 spirits total. And we get really creative with those 7 spirits with different cocktails that we offer at the tasting room. And of course, have a bunch of merch, hats, and T-shirts and whatnot. But then our distillery is in a little lower rent district than Vail Village, if you will, which is in a town called Gypsum, which is about 30 minutes west. And that's a 7,000 square foot manufacturing facility that also includes a tasting room as well. And we do tours there. You can come in, do tasting, sit down at the bar, hang out, take a tour of the manufacturing facility, etc. So, but to your point, we do have a tasting room right at the base of Vail Ski Mountain, right there close. So.
That's really cool. So yeah, you can go experience the 10th mountain. You can go get these 10th mountain experience right on the hill basically. So that's awesome. It is right there. Or if you want the full experience, head on out to the distillery and check out the whole thing. Now you say there is an education part to this. I like that. So when you come, you do your tasting experience, you do the tour. How do you work the education of the 10th mountain in with the distillery business, I
Yeah,
guess?
Tim, it's something we lead with. Actually, the history is so rich with the 10th Mountain. There's so much to talk about, and we have so many different items on display at our distillery that's been gifted to us by different 10th Mountain soldiers and different military. So it's a lot of fun for us to start a tour off with the history of the 10th Mountain, make sure our guests know our namesake and why it's important to us, and point out a couple of the different items that we've received. Anything, anywhere from our challenge coins and patches to different pieces of art and flags that have flown over in Afghanistan, to some really unique items, some spurs from the cavalry division, some different certificates. We helped raise some money for a memorial that is outside of the infantry museum in Columbus. So we have a picture of that on display that we like to talk about, and then also different nonprofits that we support throughout the year is something we lead with as well. So it's something that first and foremost we talk about the 10th Mountain Army Division, and then our support the military, and then we get into how spirits are made and what makes our spirits unique and what's going on with those, and then we'll finish with a tasting of either all 4 whiskeys or all 7 spirits, depending on what the guests want. So.
Very cool. Very cool. All right then. Jay, how have you been able to get back to Colorado to or get into Colorado to have the experience, or are you just an East Coast sales rep waiting, just like me, that you'll get there eventually?
No, I actually spent 8 years in Vail, Colorado, so I knew
Cool.
about Ryan and the 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirits while living there. Definitely get back to Colorado. We do an annual hut trip every year, and that's
Oh, good.
actually which is really cool. We go and stay in one of the 10th Mountain huts on the where they actually used to go up and train in. So
And that's what Jay's
yeah,
alluding to there. It's a volunteer weekend that we do with our whole crew. We do a bunch of maintenance on one of the huts, a bunch of cleaning, repair work, etc., inventory counts on all their equipment. And then certainly at night, we're known to pop open a bottle of whiskey or two and enjoy ourselves as well. So it's a fun camaraderie weekend that we have a good time with, and also help out the 10th Mountain Hut Association at the same time. So.
So you as you were saying, and that kind of speaks to this as well. You do support a lot of other organizations, man. Do you want to run through a list of those? Are there too many to run through a list of?
Yeah, there are a number of them, Tim, to your point, but certainly we'll mention a few here in our backyard is the Vail Veterans Program, which takes wounded vets from around the country and reintroduces them to an outdoor lifestyle, outdoor sports. In the wintertime, it's skiing, it's snowboarding. In the summertime, it's golfing and mountain biking. They support them, give them whatever kind of physical challenges that they have sustained in the war. Oftentimes, it's a single amputee, double amputee, triple amputee, burn victims, you name it. And so they've done an amazing job over the last 20 years and have not only changed the veterans' lives, but also the families of the veterans as well. It's an incredible organization. It's one of our favorites to support. It just happens to be here in our backyard. One of our guys that's on board with us is a Marine, and he sits on the board of an organization called Base Camp 40, which takes veterans from around the country on hunting and fishing expeditions around the world. And so he sits on the board of that. It's another company called Base Camp 40 that we like to support. Here statewide, we do a lot of work with the Colorado Veterans Project, and then they disperse their funds accordingly. I'm wearing a shirt today with the C4 Foundation, which is a organization out in San Diego that supports the Navy SEALs and their families. We do a lot of work with the 10th Foundation and do some work up at Fort Drum as well. Supported the Medal of Honor Library at the Army Navy Country Club this past Veterans Weekend. So the list goes on. There's a large list on our website as well, different organizations that we support, but there's always new ones coming into our fold. It's hard to say no. There's so many great organizations. The Shepherd's Men is an organization out of Atlanta, Georgia that we support that does some great work with traumatic brain injury, traumatic brain disorder, and also PTSD. And so it's it's important to us to make sure that we support these different organizations that are supporting our military, because we recognize that without what they've done, we would probably be speaking a different language right now and not living free as we do. So it's a long list, and it's something that we're very passionate about.
Clearly, man, man, that is so many.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like that's a bad thing. That's impressive. That's very awesome. Like, you've done great work, it would seem. That's awesome, man. I love that, man. And Ski Rex Media also support the United States military. I've had family and friends, as I said, Navy and Marine Corps. I didn't go myself, but that's a whole other story that nobody needs or wants to hear. So
one more I'll give a shout out to is the Adopt a Platoon program as well. So we always get hooked up with a 10th Mountain Platoon that's deployed, and it's a lot of fun to support those 18 to 22 men and women in that platoon with different snacks and magazines and little gifts while they're deployed. So that's always a fun organization to support. So it's the Adopt a Platoon program is something that we've done every year since we started. So
very good. That's awesome, man. So before we get into too much of what you actually make, let's something I said before, and I'm gonna beat that dead horse a little bit more. We're not talking posers here. So Jay, you ski in the Northeast. I know that. I assume if you're gonna be in Stowe tomorrow, you're gonna get some runs in, yeah?
Hopefully, yes, most definitely.
Do your best.
Yes,
do your best.
Yeah.
And ride. You get out there, ski, ride. Doesn't matter either one.
You guys know I'm a skier through and through, Tim. Absolutely. Okay. I was first on skis when I was 3 years old. I moved out here in '98, and certainly still a big passion of ours, big passion of mine, a big passion of our whole companies. It's to a point where we make sure we buy a full-time pass, provide a full-time ski pass for all of our employees as well. So we want to encourage our team to get out on the mountain and enjoy themselves and have a good time on the mountain. So.
See, you can't get more legit than that. Your sales representative is skiing, and not only is the boss skiing, but is getting a pass for everybody. Everybody's skiing or riding, if that's what you
darn
do.
Right.
I'm not a good snowboarder. Yeah, I suck at snowboarding, so I don't do that. That's awesome, man. I'm glad, that it's real, that it's awesome, because I know people who will go to the hater realms first. They'll see 10th Mountain, be like, well, that's bullshit. They don't know anything about. I was like, well, I think it kind of does, and does ski. So, haters don't be hating. It's not cool. So with that out of the way, because we're definitely legit. We definitely know our history. What are we making out there in Colorado, man? I'm looking at it, but I'll let you explain it because you'll do it a hell of a lot better than I will.
You got it. Uh, just to reiterate, 4 different kinds of whiskeys, and then a potato vodka, a cordial, and a brandy as well. Our best seller is 10th Mountain Bourbon, which is it's a large category these days. It is certainly our flagship product. It's 75% corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley. We make all of our spirits in a 500-gallon combination pot column still at our distillery. We age on site. We label and bottle on site. Everything ships out of our facility in Gypsum. So our bourbon is our best seller. Our most awarded, most recognized spirit is our rye whiskey, or 10th Mountain Rye whiskey. It is delicious. It's a little bit different than our bourbon. It's going to be, we like to compare rye bread versus cornbread. So rye whiskey versus bourbon. Bourbon has to be at least 51% corn. Ours is 75% corn. So we like to compare those different flavor notes from rye bread to cornbread. That's a good comparison. That really paints a good picture for people with, if they're not familiar with what rye whiskey is or what a bourbon is. We also started making a American single malt whiskey about 5-6 years ago, when we started selling that, bottling that, and released that about 2 years ago. So American single malts are a smaller category, but something that is growing. It's finally recognized by the feds as an actual whiskey category. It took a while to get there, but it actually is. It doesn't really mean anything to the end consumer, just that American single malts are a category now. And then we make an unaged whiskey, which is clear as water, clear as vodka, if you will, but it's an unaged whiskey. It's our Colorado Clear Mountain Moonshine, and it's 100% unaged corn whiskey at 80 proof. So,
Okay.
and it comes in a mason jar, as it should, right?
Absolutely. Good luck to anybody who can handle it.
Yep, exactly, right.
Shout
It's
out to you
actually
guys.
quite flavorful. You won't be breathing fire after it. It's actually a sippable, flavorful moonshine. It
Okay.
goes great in a Bloody Mary. So,
All right. So there you go. See?
yeah. Vodka is 35% of the overall spirits market. Most vodkas are grain based. We didn't want to come out with just another grain based vodka, so I prefer potato vodka anyways, and so we decided to release a potato vodka, which is really connects with the skiing industry. It's got a downhill skier on it. Our typical logo is a silhouette soldier, 10th Mountain soldier carrying skis with a rifle on his back. But our vodka label, we changed up and put a downhill skier on the front of it, just a silhouette of it. So people love to gravitate to that, certainly in the ski towns. We had a chance to make brandy. Brandy was never on our list of spirits to make, but I had a friend call me up and said he had a bunch of leftover Pinot Noir and asked if I wanted it to make brandy out of, because you just distill a Pinot Noir wine and then age it in our used bourbon barrels. And so we got into the brandy game as well. And then speaking of Apres, our last but not least spirit is our Alpenglow Cordial, which is a sage peach vanilla cordial. It's amazing as a Apres drink on ice, where it goes great in a hot chocolate or coffee. Actually mixes really well with our rye whiskey as well. And so we wanted to come out with somewhat of a schnapps, kind of influenced by the European ski industry and the Apres scene over there. But we wanted to use some flavors that were here in Colorado, but that weren't on the shelf yet in a bottle of spirits. And so we came up with the Alpenglow cordial, sage peach vanilla cordial. So that's
Cool.
our 7 spirits.
And some of them very unique, as you said. The 10th Mountain potato vodka bottle is beautiful. I saw it immediately. In fact, there's a photo in your media kit where it's on some snow-covered logs. I would put that on a poster on my wall.
Right? Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It might be coming to a billboard near you sometime soon, huh?
I would love that. I'll take a picture of it. Maybe steal it. Not saying I would, but you
Right.
never know. I might be feeling squirrely. Yeah, no, it's beautiful, and as I alluded to before, actually, I didn't actually say it. Vodka was my heart of choice. Definitely a silver bullet drinker when it came to beer. So shout out Colorado some more.
There you go.
But yeah, the bottle's beautiful, and like I said, if I was going to try any of them personally, that would be the one I would try. Not saying that anything good or bad, just that was my preference back in the day, and would probably still be so. But again, when you make this stuff, it is unique. People tell me this, and this is where, before we started recording, I made a joke about my lack of palate. But seriously speaking, I couldn't sit with I don't know, it's like blind taste test whiskeys and tell you who made what, where. You have like wine sommeliers who can tell you where it came from just from the taste of it, where in the world by like 20 feet. It's ridiculous. I could never do that. So how are you making, you don't have to get too technical about it, but how unique are what are the spirits you make? Like,
Yeah,
if
certainly,
that
Tim.
makes sense.
And yeah, absolutely right. And to your point, a lot of people ask us what kind of tasting notes they might be looking for in our rye whiskey, our bourbon, our single malt. We're happy to sit there and walk them through a tasting and talk about what they might be smelling, what might be on their palate, maybe what the finish is like. Most importantly is, do you like it or do you not like it? You know, if they don't like it, then let's find something you do
Right.
like. Or if you like it, then great, let's pour you a second one and have a good time, right? As long as, and a lot of people are like, hey, do you mind if I mix this? Can I put it over ice? Or is there any way that you're going to take offense to how I'm drinking it? And we're like, no, however you want to enjoy it, right? And certainly that's how we look at it too. If you want to drink it out of a rocks glass or out of a snifter or out of a Glencairn or the hell out of a pint glass or a plastic solo cup, we don't really care as long as you're enjoying it and having a good time, right? So
I
we're
love
all
that.
about the camaraderie around it as well. Sitting down, maybe you sat down with a stranger, then an hour later you became best friends, and you're going on the hill tomorrow for a ski day together. So there's, the camaraderie around it is something that's very important, certainly in the skiing industry as well. A lot of good camaraderie going on there. So we have a 500-gallon, 100% copper combination pot column still from Vendome. Vendome has been manufacturing still since the early 1900s. They make stills for all the big guys, and then a couple of us smaller craft guys are lucky enough to get our hands on them on occasion.
Very
We
nice.
make about a barrel of whiskey a day. The big
Okay.
guys make 1,500 barrels a day. And then the big guys on their bottles will put that they have a small batch whiskey, etc.
Hmm.
In reality, everything that we make is a small batch. We don't have the capacity to do 1,500 barrels a day. We're happy doing 1 barrel a day and are very prideful of that. We make it all we don't use computers when we're manufacturing our spirits. It's all done by smell and taste and feel. We have 2 full-time distillers that are making our spirits on a daily basis. So it is certainly craft. It's something we're very proud of. It's made by hand, and you're welcome to come check it out anytime you want as well, and do a tour with us or sit down at our taste room when it's in Vail Village too. So
That's awesome, guys. And small batch, it might be, if you're asking for it, you might have to be high on the list, yes or no. I think that's a question for Jay, man. Is it, can you fill orders? Like if they say we want this because of it's made in small batches, like this is no longer Tim from Ski Rex. This is Tim from the logistics retail background. How how easy is it for you to sell, say, a certain amount, whatever the order is, to balance out with what's being manufactured, if that makes sense, Jay?
I'll let you take that, Ryan.
yeah, sure, absolutely right,
Yeah.
Tim.
I
I
was
think
just
we're
Go ahead.
making a barrel a day. It equates to about 300 bottles a day, roughly, per barrel, depending on the proof, depending on the angel share that's evaporated over the aging process as well. But roughly about 300 bottles, and we're not to a point yet where there's certainly the supply, demand, and cash flow balance of the overall business. It's quite tricky, but Jay's out there hustling to make some great sales, but we haven't come to a point yet where I'm getting nervous about maybe selling too much and not having enough whiskey yet, because it is a tricky business, right? It's a product that we can make and distill today, but then it's got to lie down for us at least 2 years, is
Sure.
our minimum age statement. So we have to.
Okay.
I'm looking at 2 years from now and to how that looks and sales wise, et cetera. So, but with that said, if somebody, we do barrel picks as well. So if there's a specific liquor store or maybe the Von Trapp Resort or something that wants something that's unique to them, we'll send out samples, blind samples, and have them taste through 9 different samples and have them choose sample D, right? And then D happens to be 110 proof, 3-year-old bourbon. And then that becomes their barrel pick that is only sold at their resort. or maybe Stowe Mountain wants to do a barrel pick with a specific barrel themselves, and so we can do that. So that's extremely small batch. Everything we do is small batch, but then that's taking it into another nano batch at that point, right? So
Sure. Well, that's very interesting to me because you just gave out that number, one barrel, 300 bottles. I would never have thought you'd pull 300. And again, I'm not doing it. I've never done it. I'm not experienced in it. In the making of it, I am experienced. I may not drink anymore, but I've had my share. Believe me. I'm not experienced in it, so I had no idea. And you know, that's actually a lot more coming out than I realized, which means
yeah.
those big corporate guys are pumping out tons of the stuff. I had no idea it was that kind of, those kind of numbers. That's actually very interesting to me. Another question that's actually very interesting to me, and I don't know if this has anything to do with what you make, but it's the difference in state legality. For instance, well, people see moonshine and they wonder, is that illegal? Is it made out in stills, out in the woods, like the guy on the TV? I was like, I doubt it. But like, for instance, I've heard Everclear can only go up to so many proof in California, where in, like, say, New Jersey, it can go to its max. Like, do you have to worry about any of that? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's something that governs our whole industry, and unfortunately, it takes a lot of fun out of it. Is all the paperwork that we have to abide by. Those rules are in place for the right reasons as well.
Sure.
You want to know as a consumer, what you're getting, what states on the bottle, the proof, the volume in the bottle. So you want to go into it being educated, right?
Sure.
Moonshine itself is a slang term.
Yeah.
It's used to reference an untaxed spirit.
Yeah.
All distilleries that are above the table are federally and state regulated. On a federal level, we all have a DSP, a distilled spirits production license, and we have to fill out paperwork every 2 weeks. The feds can come into our distillery and track everything from A to Z anytime they want. But moonshine is so with our name, Colorado Clear Mountain Moonshine. It's a good alliteration that rolls off the tongue, but it's technically an unaged whiskey, which is the category of spirit
Sure.
that's in. And unaged whiskey is actually on the label as well. The name of the
Okay.
spirit, like our bourbon whiskey is bourbon, but it's 10th Mountain Bourbon. Our Colorado Clear Mountain Moonshine, we're just having some fun with it. But moonshine has traditionally been referred to as an untaxed spirit. It's those guys that are on the TV making it down by the creek in the woods,
Yeah.
trying not to get caught and are running from the cops. For us, we're above the table. The cops come into our tasting room on their days off to hang out with us, so that's kind of
And
fun.
there you go.
Yeah, so it's all good there. Certainly do a lot of work with first responders and whatnot. A lot of those guys and gals have a military background, so it's very parallel with what we have going on anyway. So, but yeah, it's all regulated. Certainly above the table. There are a lot of guys doing it under the table still, which is kind of fun if you have one of those friends. Just be careful doing that. Uh, but then and it's all completely regulated by the Fed. So
Yeah, very interesting. Again, I I I understand the difference in some of the legality, but not all of it. So I was definitely interested. And obviously you have the whole thing, and you'll give people tours of what you do. So it's all
yeah.
up and up, all good. Very awesome. We have a whole bunch of stuff. So how do we get it? Let's sell some stuff. How can people get this?
Well, that's up to Jay. He's making all the sales there in the Northeast, so it's we're getting more and more distribution locations there in the Northeast on a daily basis because Jay's up there working his tail off. Certainly going to see it around the Stowe area and Vermont area more. Jay spent last ski season in New Hampshire, and so we're also distributed in Maine, areas around Massachusetts, Rhode Island, around the state of New York as well. So we have the Northeast not completely covered, but getting more and more locations on a daily basis. It's illegal for us to ship direct to consumer,
Okay.
but we can use a third party to ship on our behalf. So you can go on our website, tentwhiskey.com. That's 10th whiskey with an E.com. And you can buy spirits, place an order there. It's completely branded like us. It's just we have to use a third party fulfillment company to ship it to you. Actually, we made a promo code for all your listeners. If you use promo code SKI, capital SKI, you get 10% off. So go ahead and plug that in the promo box when you're checking out for a little added discount. And it'll make it to your door within a week, usually, is about what it does. So if there's not a liquor store, bar, restaurant close to you that you can find our spirits in, you can always go online and try it as well, and check it out that way. So.
Awesome. So that's awesome, everybody. If you want to try it, if you don't see Jay walking around, selling the stuff, or someone that he has helped to sell the stuff, you can still get it. Capital SKI, 10% off. Everybody, don't sleep on it. Go get it. Links are in the description, in the show notes. Don't look at it if you're driving. Wait, if you're listening to the podcast in the car, pull over, wait till you get home, wait to get to work, then go on the computer at work and go ahead and order a bottle of whiskey. That should make your boss very happy. Awesome, guys, man. So what else we got? Anything else you want to get out there? Because, again, 10th Mountain Whiskey, 10THWHISKEY.com. You can find everything. I'm looking at the site right now. Very easy to navigate, merch, bottles, all the stuff you want, plus all the information and directions, plus social media links. Man, you're everywhere. This is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, Tim, our social handle is 10th MTN Whiskey, and that's across all socials, even on TikTok these days, and doing that. You can also, Jay just sold into Stowe Mountain Resort, so you can you don't have to come off the mountain during your ski day to enjoy a glass of our whiskey. We don't want you getting inebriated while you're skiing. Everyone knows not to do that, but certainly enjoy one at lunch while you're on the mountain too. So keep a lookout for our bourbon that's on Stowe Mountain Resort there. So, and then also if you're out here in Colorado, we're all over the resorts out here and all over the state as well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely have Colorado friends in Ski Rex Media out there. So, guys and dolls, if you're out there, check it all out. Jay here with me in New England. You got any specific places other than Stowe that you can rattle off? Because I know a lot of. Go ahead,
dude. Most definitely. We're in North Conway, New Hampshire, Cranmore, Attitash, Wildcat. We're up in Cannon Mountain. So our goal is to be in pretty much every ski resort in the Northeast. That's my goal. So. We are sponsored. We're also sponsoring a 10th Mountain ski team out of Cranmore for the Schneider Cup.
Cool.
So we do that as well. And then we do a Meister Cup.
Jay, one sec, man. While you're talking about the ski team, we got to talk about the results from last year, right?
Oh, yeah, the results for sure. So we won. We won last year. we were the first year in it, and we won. So that was a big accomplishment. So we're back to do it again this year. So we're very excited about that.
Nothing like coming out and taking it on your first year, man.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Now, are you racing on the team, Jay? Do you have a racer background?
Yeah, so I grew up ski racing. I've been skiing since I was 2. I raced out of North Conway, New Hampshire.
Okay, sure.
And pretty much my whole life.
He might have had a little home mountain advantage, right? So that's all right. We'll take it.
Did a season on the pro tour. So.
Oh, cool.
I'm definitely an avid skier. That's
awesome.
That's what I do. So yeah.
That's fantastic. See, Jay can smoke people on the mountain. It's great. Racing's something I can never do well. I've never really tried it, but I know I can't do it well. I just know that.
Yeah.
Racers are on another level. It's a different level. I'm not saying better or worse. I'm saying it's different. It's a lot of fun to watch, man. If you're at one of these places racing, tell me. I'll come take a look, man. I like watching racing. It's even downhill speed events are action sports, just like the guys who are doing flips and stuff, guys and girls who are doing flips and stuff. It's all an action sport, and it's wonderful. Cannon Mountain, you said, shout out to them. I love it. Bay sounds like if you're skiing Indy or Epic Pass, you can get 10th Mountain. That's fantastic. So shout out to both of those passes. I ride both of those myself. Awesome. I think we've plugged the name. I think we plugged everything. Capital SKI discount code, 10% off for 10th Mountain. You could go there. You can order. They'll get it done for you. Very awesome, dude. I'm going to try the vodka at some point when I can find it. If I can get my hands on it, I'll get it. 10% off, man. I'll get it. Plus, that bottle is gorgeous, man. I love it. Thanks, guys.
Tim, thank you, bud. Keep up the good work in the industry. We hope to see you guys on the hill making some turns. Give us a holler if you see us out there.
There you go, everybody. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Ryan. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't hang up right away, guys. Stay on. I'll tell you when to leave. Don't leave me just yet. I have problems. I have separation anxiety or whatever. Again, all links are in the show notes. 10thwhiskey.com. You can order from there. You can get merch from there. You get all the information you need, directions for the Vail locations, all the contact information you need. So when Jay comes around, or maybe if you need him around, give them a call. They'll find you. You can find them, and we can get some of 10th Mountain's whiskey and spirits into your bars and restaurants and stores and what have you. Right? Right. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Jay and Ryan.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you guys.
And there they go. Ryan Thompson, founder of 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company out there in Vail, Colorado, and Jay Baldassarre, Northeast's sales rep for 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit. If you need it and you're here in the Northeast in New England, give Jay a shout and he'll come sell it to you, and we'll get you all stocked up. But if you are not looking to fill a restaurant or a bar or a pub or your local liquor store or what have you, you can, as Ryan said, order from the website. It takes them a couple steps, but they can get it to you. And if you are a listener and fan of Ski Rex Media, capital S and then KI, Ski, and that'll get you 10% off your order. You can get a 10% discount to 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. I think you should take that and run with it. I'm going to try it too. I don't drink. I have not drank anything with alcohol in many, many years, but the vodka I do find intriguing. So maybe I'll get that, get a sip of it, and then it'll become a gift for someone to finish. And I have plenty of friends who drink whiskeys and bourbons and other things too, so maybe I'll get them in on it, see what we can do. We'll figure something out. And then if you are in the Vail area, go get your tour of the distillery. Go get your history lesson on the 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. If you were part of the 10th Mountain Division, if you are currently part of the 10th Mountain Division or formerly of the 10th Mountain Division, a veteran or any veteran as well, thank you for your service. Ski Rex Media 100% supports the servicemen and women of the United States of America, as we all should. I think I've had, as we were talking about earlier, I've had family and friends in the military, tons of them, and I support the military wholeheartedly, all of our service people, for the work they do. Right? Again, thank you, or I shouldn't say again, I'm saying it for the first time in this episode, but thank you for listening to the Ski Rex Media Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed the previous episode and the next episode. And if you have not heard the previous one and are not ready to hear the next one, please subscribe to the Ski Rex Media Podcast on your favorite podcasting app, or Podbean, or YouTube, or on Patreon, where you get the show on the Sunday before everybody else. The show comes out on Wednesday. You can get it on Sunday, and you can get it with no ad read at the beginning. You could get all that. It's only $1 a month over on Patreon. Patreon.com/SkiRexMedia, or head to skirexmedia.com and you can get linked over from there. Also, be advised, I gotten today, as I'm recording this, I have gotten the first new sample piece from the new Ski Rex Media merch shop. I'm going to check that out. And the Ski Rex Media merch shop's probably going to be reopening soon, man. Check it out. Patreon, the merch shop, the SpeakPipe voicemail, speakpipe.com /Ski Rex Media, or once again, skirexmedia.com. And as always, the links and everything are in the show notes, the podcast description, all that fun stuff. I have rambled on, and I'm about to hit our hour mark, and the theme song might take us over a little, but that's okay. I hope you enjoyed the whole thing. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're out there getting your share of skiing and riding it, and I will see you out there on the hill, my friends. Later.